Hello, everyone. So today we are going to review over note taking. I know that you guys learned this last week. It was a lot of information, but you guys did well with it. We're just wanting to continue practicing the note taking process. So to start off, we're going to review a couple of things. So in our lesson last week, we had talked about why note taking is important. I want you to take a second and answer that question. Why is note taking important? If you said any of these things, you are correct. It helps you as a student to determine what's important information and what's not important information. It helps to boost your comprehension. It helps to increase the amount of information you can retain or keep in your brain and remember. It helps you to think analytically, so to analyze things. It helps you to become a very efficient note taker. And then it also helps to prepare for your writing. And the way that it does this is once you get used to writing shorthand notes, you'll be able to very quickly create a brainstorming list for what you want to write about in an actual paragraph or an essay. It'll come a lot easier to you. Okay, we also ended up talking about abbreviations and symbols that we use during note taking. So I want you to answer me this. What were the 3 words that we talked about that you shouldn't use in writing your notes? 3 words that you should not use during note taking. Go ahead, answer that. If you said the and an a, then you are correct. When you are writing notes, you want to omit or keep out the words the, and, or a. Okay? You're also going to shorten because to b/c. You're going to shorten with to w/, and you're going to shorten without to w/o. These are just saving time, and it's going to let you know that these are the words that you're using. Okay? You'll get used to it as we keep working with it. Another thing I want you to think about is we learned about a few different symbols that we are going to use when we are taking notes. I want you to answer this question. What is one symbol that you can use during your notes, and what does it mean? Okay, if you said any of these, then you are correct. An equal sign means a definition or explanation. A plus sign stands for and. A horizontal arrow means that it's cause and effect, so one thing resulted in another. An upward arrow means that it's more or an increase. A downward arrow means that it's less or a decrease. And then the slash, that's going to mean that it's either a comma, a period, or it signals the beginning of a new idea. And we'll keep using these symbols throughout the year, so you'll get used to them. Remember, you can also access this note symbol PDF in your Google ELA classroom. Okay. So let's practice a little bit. So I'm going to do one first as an example for you, and then I'm going to ask you some questions for the next couple of them. So I'm going to look at this passage. I'm first going to read it, and then I'm going to figure out how would I take notes on this. So it says, there is a dispute as to the exact years that make up the Middle Ages, but most sources say AD 500 to 1450. Many history books call this time the Dark Ages, as it reflected a lull in learning and literacy. To many people, it is also known as the medieval times, when knights battled across Europe. The time period was known for hunger, war, and plague. The biggest period of bloodshed was during the Crusades. So I'm going to think to myself, I'm going to think about what are the most important things that I want to remember from this passage. So here are a couple of notes that I took, and I'm going to walk them through with you guys. So I put Middle Ages equals 500 to 1450 AD. because I remember hearing in the article, I remember them saying that most people believe that the Middle Ages happened during 500 to 1450 AD. Okay, so that's one important thing, the time period. Then I'm going to put that I have Dark Ages equal a decrease, so mean less, learning and literacy, right? Because it mentioned in the article here, it said they call this the Dark Ages as it reflected a lull in learning and literacy. So a lull means like a stop, that there wasn't much learning going on, there wasn't much literacy, so reading and writing wasn't happening really. So that's why I put that note on there. I feel like that's a very important part of the Dark Ages. Next, I put Middle Ages equals Dark Ages equals medieval times. So I did that because all of them are the same time period. And I know this because it says in here, first it says, calls it the Middle Ages. Then it says many history books call this time the Dark Ages. So these are the same time periods. Then even it says to many people, it is also known as medieval times. So I know to myself, just based on this passage, that there are 3 different names that I could call for that same time period. Then I put Dark Ages equal hunger, war, and plague, because I remember reading that the Dark Ages, it said, this time period was known for hunger, war, and plague. And then my last note that I took was that Crusades equals the biggest bloodshed, right? That was when the Crusades, you'll learn a little bit more about them, but it was a very long time span of just constant war and fighting and death and bloodshed. So when I look at that, I see that last one says the biggest period of bloodshed was during the Crusades. Okay? So do you guys see how instead of writing every single word in each sentence, I'm just condensing it to make more sense in my head. I'm choosing the most important facts and I'm making them just a quick note so that I'll remember what they mean. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this next one. I'm going to read it and then I'm going to ask you to take a note on it, so pay attention. The Catholic Church was the overwhelming power in Europe, and the most educated people were the priests. While there was a decline in knowledge and learning, the Middle Ages continued to be a period full of discovery and invention, especially in East Asia. Many inventions sprouted from the Chinese culture. The following inventions highlights range from 1000 to 1400 AD. Okay, so I want you to think, what are some important facts within there? I want you to just choose one, and I want you to shorten it into a note and go ahead and put that as your answer. Okay, if you have anything like mine, and you could have something different too that makes sense. Not everybody's going to have the same notes. Some things that I put in there. I put that the Catholic Church equals, so pretty much the Catholic Church was defined as an overwhelming power, and they were the most educated. Remember, my plus sign means and. The reason I put this is because I remember reading, it says the Catholic Church was the overwhelming power in Europe, and the most educated people were the priests who were part of the Catholic Church. Okay, the second note that I had, I put the Middle Ages equals a decline in learning. So pretty much the Middle Ages were a decrease, or remember, lull in learning. Then I put a slash because this is a different thought. Even though that happened, they still had many inventions, right? This passage talked about while there was a decline in knowledge and learning, the Middle Ages continued to be a period full of discovery and invention. Okay, and then the last little note that I had, an important fact, was that China equals many inventions, because I remember reading that many inventions sprouted from the Chinese culture. Okay? I know that this just takes practice, and you guys will get the hang of it the more we do it. Okay, so just keep trying. That's really what we're looking for from you guys, is that you're trying to use those symbols, you're trying to shorten the sentences, We know it's not going to happen right away for some people, and that's okay. Practice makes perfect. Okay, I'm going to read this one, and this is going to be the last practice before you guys go off on your own to do your own independent work. So it says, paper money as currency. In 1023, the first government-issued paper was printed in China. Before that, paper money had been issued by private companies in the early 10th century in the Sichuan region. When he returned to Europe, Marco Polo wrote about paper money. Paper money did not take off in Europe until Sweden began printing paper currency in 1601. So I want you to take a minute, think what is an important fact here, and I want you to write a short note for that fact. Okay. If you had anything like this, then you're on the right track. You could have something different too. So I put 1023 / first government, that means government, printed money / China. So this is telling me that in 1023, the government printed the first paper money and it was in China, right? That's what this first sentence tells me. I just condensed it really short. Second thing I have Marco Polo / return to Europe / paper money. Because I remember in the article that they talked about how Marco Polo went back home to Europe and he told everybody about the paper money, right? He was spreading the word. It even says there, when he returned to Europe, Marco Polo wrote about the paper money. The last thing I have was Europe / paper money / 1601. Because I know that Europe really didn't get paper money until 1601, because that's what the last part says. Paper money did not take off in Europe until Sweden began printing paper currency in 1601. Okay? Again, practice makes perfect, and I know that you guys are going to keep getting better and better at this. So what you're going to do now is you are going to go to your ELA Google Classroom, and you're going to go to the Classwork tab. So let me see here. You go to the Classwork tab, and it's going to have something called Note-Taking Practice, okay? You are going to make your own copy of the Note-Taking Practice, and then you're going to work on this, okay? So I just wanted to kind of go through the directions with you. It says to read the passage carefully, then write down at least 2 notes based on the passage. So you are doing exactly what we just did together. So you have your passage here. Based off the passage, I want you to write 2 short notes using those symbols and the shortened words, remember? So you are going to do that for these 4 passages, or 5 passages. You're going to do the notes. Then there's a part 2. Now it says, use the short-handed notes to create a full sentence. So you're working backwards, and we did this last week too. So I'm giving you the notes, and you're saying, okay, based off of these notes, so it says verge escapement equals wheel, device, and clock. Well, what do I think that could mean? I know that equals is the definition, right? It means definition. So I could put maybe a verge escapement is a wheel, device, and a clock, right? That would be a full sentence that I could do. So you're doing the opposite. You're taking the notes and you're creating them into a full sentence. And you have about 3 passages or 3 different sections that you'll do that for. Okay? Just try your best, guys. I know you got this. It's just going to take practice. Okay? I keep saying that, but it's true. I just don't want you to feel defeated by this because you guys have got this. Okay? Ask your teacher if you have any questions. Bye, guys.